LEGO Star Wars minifigures can range drastically in price, from crappy $1 minifigures up to thousands and thousands of dollars, and sometimes the difference between spending your pocket money on a minifigure and remortgaging your house can be just the tiniest detail. Like this Snowtrooper minifigure, which goes for only $3, but when you add a couple of printing details to his chest, he goes for over $50. Those tiny details make him a commander, and as he only came in one $850 set, the UCS 8080, he becomes an insanely sought after minifigure. This can also apply to name minifigures like Boba Fett. Believe it or not, these three minifigures here are three different Boba Fett minifigures, all with slight changes of colour, making them range from about $15 to $25. But when you add the tiniest touch of arm printing, this minifigure skyrockets to over thousands of dollars. But it isn't just old Boba Fett minifigures that fit into this rule. These two newer Boba Fett minifigures range from about $7 to $10. But again, the tiniest addition of details on the arms can literally take this minifigure upwards of $150, which is crazy considering it came in a UCS set that retailed for only $200. Those details are kind of understandable, but this one is absolutely bonkers. There are two recent versions of Boba Fett's dad, Jango Fett. One of them comes with a smile on his face, retailing for about $15 to $20. But as soon as you make him angry, he 10x's in value to over $150. There's not much difference in the original set values, and the torso, leg, and helmet prints are all identical. However, the head did come on one of those expensive Boba Fett minifigures, so it kind of makes a bit more sense. Speaking of helmets, the addition of a helmet can make the craziest of difference. For example, this Fennec minifigure goes up by $10 if you add just her helmet to the minifig. $10 is a lot for one piece of plastic, but it's kind of understandable, unlike this next minifigure, which might just be the most curious and crazy case of a LEGO Star Wars minifigure of all time. But first, in my opinion, one of the small tiny differences that make you go from making YouTube videos to being a true YouTuber is being sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Obviously, you guys have all heard of the game by now, and if you haven't downloaded it yet, why not? Here are 3 reasons why you should do so right now. First of all, what other game has 650 champions, each with unique skills and stunningly detailed looks? It's Raid. The second reason to play Raid is the amazing graphics. You can enjoy console/PC quality graphics on your mobile device wherever you are, at work, at the gym, or at home. Third reason is the monthly updates and the constant development of the game. You will never get tired of exploring the endless content in Raid. And Raid has prepared something special for all the new players this Christmas. Download Raid Shadow Legends from the links below, copy your player ID from in-game, and then go to 12daysofraid.polarium.com. There's a link in the description, and enter your player ID and then set out on a fun festive adventure running from this December 19th to the 10th of January. Each day experience a new chapter of this wintry story and play new mini-games for a chance to win some amazing in-game and real-life prizes, including a holiday-themed Raid Championship and even Amazon gift cards worth up to $1,000. Existing Raid players can also head to 12daysofraid.polarium.com and find a special holiday promo code for a small festive gift. Raid's got something extra special happening now. They've released a legendary champion based off of MMA and pro wrestling legend Ronda Rousey. You can get Ronda for free right now, whether you're a new or a long-time player, and all you have to do is log in and play for 7 days between now and February the 20th, and Ronda is yours. You can also use this special promo code RAIDRONDA and get a bunch of helpful stuff, like a 3-day 100% XP boost, 500,000 silver, and 5 full energy refills. And if you haven't started playing Raid yet, click my link in the description or scan my QR code that's on screen right now, and you'll get a unique bonus worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Rector Jarath, 200,000 in silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard, so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get into the game. All this and more will be waiting for you here, and thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Basically, at the start of this set's shelf life, they had a minifigure called Finch Dallow, who was a Resistance pilot. But around the release of the set, they actually swapped this minifigure out, replacing it with a regular unnamed Resistance bomber pilot. To this day, no one really knows why LEGO did this, but the only difference is the head and helmet print. However, the price difference will blow your mind. The regular pilot is around a $10 figure, whereas the Finch Dallow has now become one of the most expensive LEGO minifigures of all time. He now goes for over $750 on the aftermarket. The head alone has sold 3 times on popular LEGO marketplace Bricklink in the past year, all for over $200, but the helmet has sold even less time, selling only once in the past year for over $250. But from a relatively unknown character to a household name, C-3PO over the years has also had some tiny different details that make minifigures vary in price very bizarrely. Of course, when LEGO first made C-3PO, he was a very basic minifigure, now goes for only about $5. They then changed the color of this minifigure slightly with the introduction of their new gold color. This one's still basic and only goes for about $8, but then LEGO did something very special, and something they've only done to a couple of different minifigures, and completely wrapped in a chrome gold collar, which just looks absolutely fantastic. However, again, this minifigure is pretty unattainable, again retailing for over $800. Newer versions of C-3PO don't have those crazy variations in price, but they can also be quite different. For example, you can pick up a very common C-3PO minifig for about $2, but channel your inner Jawa and put a tiny little restraining bolt on his upper chest and he goes for over $10. And even the newest version of C-3PO and the UCS Landspeeder has some added details, including arm printing and a dual molded leg, bumping his price up to $20, which actually isn't that bad, as I believe this is the perfect C-3PO minifigure that's ever been made.
They were the droids we were looking for.
LEGO kind of neglect the episode 6 version of Luke Skywalker, preferring to make lots and lots of the farm boy Luke, episode 4 Luke Skywalker. However, the difference between these two episode 6 Luke Skywalker minifigures is a bit weird. One has the collar open and retails for over $15. One has the collar closed and only retails for about $5 to $10. Obviously, one of the biggest explanations for these price differences is the rarity of the sets that the minifigures originally came in. Some of the larger sets are produced in way lower quantities than the smaller set, for pretty obvious reasons, making those minifigures in larger sets more exclusive. A great example of this was part of the Rogue One wave. Krennic's shuttle was released with 2 Death Troopers in it. Following year, they were slightly tweaked and brought back in a battle pack, and the difference in price between these two minifigures is over $15, and the only difference was some small markings on the chest as well as a small cauldron on the shoulder. When Star Wars Rebels first released, the LEGO sets weren't actually that popular, and one of the main characters of the Star Wars Rebels show is Kanan. Of course, the main ship of the Rebels TV show is the Ghost, and when LEGO first made this set, they actually released Kanan with black hair and a black goatee, but relatively soon after the release of this set, they actually changed him for a brown-haired version, with a slight change to the printing on the face, of course, making it brown rather than black. This then produced the elusive black-haired Kanan, as collectors now know it by, and despite the brown-haired version being more accurate to the actual show, the black-haired version now goes for over $250, but only a few bucks for the brown-haired version. Now, these 4 Imperial officers are very similar, but each have very small colour and printing differences. However, whilst those differences might be small, the price differences are, of course, crazy. This one is the most common version of the Imperial officer in the light grey uniform, coming out in a Battlefront 2 battle pack, so as you can imagine, he's pretty cheap. But swap his black hat for a grey hat and he goes from about $5 to about $15 right away. Then the newer version of the playset Death Star came out with this other version of the Imperial officer with a couple of yellow and red markings on his chest, and that took what was a $5 minifigure up to $50+. But that's not all. The arm printing strikes again, and there's a version of this minifig which again came out in a big UCS set, the Star Destroyer from 2019, and this version goes for a whopping $50. I think I'll stick to getting custom printed arms to add to these minifigures from Firestar Toys for me. Similarly to the Fennec minifigure that we saw earlier, the helmet can make all the difference. This Agent Kallus minifigure from Star Wars Rebels without the helmet goes for about $20, but with this ISB Agent helmet you'll be paying at least $10 more. Even the most iconic of characters can fall victim to these crazy prices. In fact, the episode 3 version of Anakin Skywalker has been made so infrequently that the best version can go upwards of $35. But remove his cape and he drops by $25 down to about $10, but add a small radio to the side of his head from a Starfighter set and he halves in value again. A simple battle droid minifigure can be one of the cheapest minifigures you can get in the entire market. However, the differences that a slight change of colour can make will actually shock you. Making it into a Geonosis battle droid by swapping the colour to a dark orange at least will 3x it in value from about $1 to about $3, then making it into the original sand red colour that came out in the early 2000s, and you've got yourself at least a $20 minifig right there. So yeah, not looking good if you want to build a big army of those. But now, believe it or not, this pretty plain looking minifigure right here is actually the officially listed LEGO Star Wars minifigure. And the only thing separating this from a regular black minifigure is one small print detail, meaning that one press from a pad printer in LEGO's factories added over $250 of value to this one small piece of plastic. The original LEGO 2 12th minifigure that came out in the Utapau Battle Pack is one of my favourite minifigures, but alongside 2 of those in the set came 2 Airborne Troopers which retail for about $8 on Bricklink. A super similar version was re-released in this Grievous Starfighter right here in 2020. However, the very few changes that LEGO made actually added over $40 in value, which kind of goes against the usual rule of the older the LEGO minifigure is, the more rare and the more expensive it is. Now, sticking with the episode 3 theme, Clone Commanders can also feature some pretty weird price differences. The new version of Commander Great is about $15 more than the original version. So let's play a little game and spot the difference. So yeah, I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to pause the video, inspect the 2 images, and try and see whether you guys can decipher the differences between these 2 minifigures and comment it in the comment section down below. No cheating, guys. 3, 2, 1. Yes, the only difference is in fact the small band on his leg, which goes from a regular grey colour to a dark tan colour, which is just absolutely crazy. I mean, why would LEGO even change that? Now, that last one was pretty confusing, but this next one actually confuses me even more. So the UCS 8080 came with 2 8080 pilots. One of them's about a $2 minifig, one of them's about a $10 minifig, and the only difference is the head print. Now, you would have thought, oh, maybe the head print is a pretty exclusive one, maybe it's a new head print, maybe it's a new face print, maybe it's a new colour. But no, the same minifigure head print actually came in the Snowtrooper Battle Pack, meaning that it's been sold millions of times across the world. You can even pick this one up from Lego.com for about 25 cents or so. So please, can someone explain to me how the heck this one small difference can make upwards of $8 worth of difference? The new LEGO 501st minifigure has now become pretty common and therefore goes for about $3 over on the LEGO aftermarket. However, if you want to recreate this scene from Star Wars The Clone Wars and swap this helmet over for a 332nd helmet, you're going to be paying at least $15 for that minifigure, and the helmet alone could go for about the similar price, which is just bizarre. So the second sequel figure that I'm going to include on this list has actually a pretty puzzling story as well. So this is the regular First Order TIE Pilot minifigure in it. It's pretty cheap, going for about $2. But add 2 small red lines to his face and you've got a $10 minifig right there. So one of these Han Solo minifigures came in a $350 set and one of them came in an $850 set. Can you guess which one is worth more money? Yes, that's right. It's the one that came in a $350 set. So yeah, this one right here came in the $350 MBS Cloud City set and now goes for over $100. However, this one came in the $850 UCS Millennium Falcon and only retails for about $10 over on the aftermarket. Although this one's pretty easy to explain as it is a better minifigure coming with those nice dual molded and printed legs. But that difference between those two minifigs is a pretty big difference compared to this next one. So on the theme of dual molding, the LEGO dual molded Stormtrooper helmet came out in 2019. However, like the Finch Dino minifig, this one actually had a slight change midway through the shelf life of the set. Basically, the older helmet had these black squares on the back of the helmet before being subsequently tweaked with a grey square being added to the black square that was already existing. Why LEGO didn't just do this from the start absolutely baffles me, and how this minifigure even exists is crazy. But the difference in price is actually pretty bizarre too. The regular one with the grey printing is actually about $5, however the one without the printing goes for about $25+. So whilst you're army building for your Imperial army, make sure you're buying the correct version. You'll definitely save yourself a lot of money. So we've previously mentioned the elusive Cloud City Boba Fett that came in that really rare Cloud City set from back in the day. But he wasn't the only minifigure that ended up being extremely expensive from that set. The Lando Calrissian actually now goes for over $350. But that same year they actually released another Lando minifigure with very minor changes to the printing details and the cape, and that minifigure only goes for about $30. Speaking of Lando, they actually remade that Cloud City version as part of their celebration for the 20th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars in 2019, and that minifigure is almost indistinguishable from the original version, but the newer one only goes for about $30. Over the years, out of the entire original trilogy crew, LEGO have barely ever made a Lando Calrissian minifigure. However, one minifigure from the original trilogy that has been made countless times is the Luke Skywalker in his Farm Boy Episode 4 outfit, and due to this, he's a very cheap minifigure going for about $2. However, as soon as Aunt Beru serves him some blue milk with his lunch, he becomes a $40 minifigure just for splashing blue milk all over his face. This minifigure was actually exclusively available when you pre-ordered the recent new LEGO Star Wars game. So that was a really recent fig, but this next one we're going to throw it back way further in time and look at one of the most iconic rare LEGO Star Wars minifigures, the smooth-haired Leia. Now this one is the first one that doesn't have an exclusive print difference. It's actually a molding difference with the hairpiece. This minifigure came in the 2009 set that Tanted for, and some versions of the set came with a mismolded, smooth-haired version of the Leia minifig. The regular Legos for about $6, whereas that smooth-haired version goes for upwards of $300. The story with that Leia minifigure doesn't actually stop there, and you guys might not actually know about this because I personally did, but there's actually a third version of that minifigure, which is labelled as the Big Eye version of Leia, and as you can tell by the name, for some reason LEGO added some slightly larger eyes to this minifigure, and don't ask me why, but the eye version actually adds about $2 to the minifigure. Now the Super Battle Droid has been absent from sets for years now, and fans are really crying out to get a newer version of the Super Battle Droid, but despite this, the figure is actually still pretty cheap, going for about $3. However, swap that iconic gunmetal grey colour for a sand blue colour, which was actually an extinct LEGO colour that they made in the early 2000s, similar to the sand red colour we previously mentioned for the Battle Droid, and you have yourself a $50 minifigure. Now Super Battle Droids were infamous for breaking, especially these sand blue versions, and that coupled with the fact that it came out in only one set in 2002 makes it super hard to come by. Now that is the crazy world of LEGO minifigures and their aftermarket values. Do you have any of these minifigures? Do you know any other crazy discrepancies that I didn't mention on this list? Let me know in the comment section down below. And speaking of making tiny differences, it would really make a huge difference to my day if you scroll down and hit that subscribe button, and leave a like whilst you're down there as well. But for the most part, these were intentional changes made by LEGO. However, there's a whole other subsection of LEGO minifigures with slight details causing crazy prices, and that is misprints, but we'll cover that in another video another day, so stay tuned to the channel to see that one. But with that being said, have a great day. I'll see you guys later.